Welcome to the I Am a Solution Show. I'm your host, Coach Warren.
I'm your host, Coach Moo.
And we got, once again, another great pillar of the community.
Yes, sir.
If y'all see this face, if y'all see this, man, y'all know what it is. If you ever rock the orange and blue, you know what it is.
Yeah.
You know, this guy.
Legendary coach, I can't lie.
Yeah,
Sitting up here.
Yeah.
Coach, we got Coach Bob Jones in
Coach
the building.
Bob Jones, man. Let's go.
Clap it up for Coach Bob.
Clap it up for the coach.
President of the Garfield Gators.
Yeah.
Executive Director of B.A.S.E, Brothers and Sisters Emerging.
Yeah.
What's up, Coach?
Not much, man. I'm happy to be here.
Coach,
we happy to have you, man.
Yeah, Coach, we appreciate you coming on. Like, you know, when we think about guests we bring on, like, we always try to bring on people who is making an impact in the community and don't necessarily is known for doing what they do. You know what I'm saying? And you the type of brother like me, Juan, who what we do, we don't do it for the glory. We ain't out here saying this is us, this is me, this is do it, but we just do the work.
Yeah. And
we gonna do the work regardless. And when it comes to this violence in the community, the people gotta know. Some do know, Coach. You know, a lot know.
Yeah.
But the people gotta know who are the folks putting in the work on the ground all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know we both lead organizations, sports organizations, but outside of the sports organization, we are looked upon as leaders in the community.
Yeah.
And so I just want to, want you to speak on like who is Bob Jones? How long you been doing it? Like, give us a little background, Coach.
Yeah.
Got it. Obviously, I'm the president of the Garfield Gators. We like to call it Garfield Youth Sports. I'm also the president and CEO of B.A.S.E.
Okay.
Brothers and Sisters Emerging. Everything spun out of the Gators. The Gators were actually entering our 30th season.
Clap it up for that, man.
Clap it up for that. Longevity.
Decades, 3 decades.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I can remember the first day, the introduction to it all. I can remember. And I'm a Garfield native, born and raised in Garfield. It's by choice that I still live there. And I felt when I was seeking to purchase a home, man, I wanted to be where I can have the most influence and impact. So, I wanted to raise my children in the city, and I stayed in Garfield. But I remember the first day, man, I got into football. It's so interesting, man. This was back in 1993. I was at the Kingsley Association, old Kingsley, and I was working with the Housing Authority, and my boss, he sent me to a meeting. They were discussing alternatives to gang violence.
Yeah.
And I went in the room. I'm 23 years old, and of course, there were a ton of elders around the table, and Elmer McClung was one, Mr. Proctor, Bernard Eccles.
Shout out to the elders, man.
Shout out Coach Eck, man. Rest in peace.
They were all around the table, Steve Chapman, and they were just talking about alternatives to gang violence and what they're doing, in their organizations. And Steve Chapman, who worked at Kingsley, he mentioned youth football. He said Kingsley has a youth football program, and that's their way of, preventing violence.
Yeah.
And, man, I just zeroed in on him. Like, oh, I got to talk to this brother.
Yeah.
So after the meeting, I had a chance to talk to him. I asked him, how can it be done? And he gave me some pointers. He said, man, first you got to have some good people around you. And so I said, I think I can do that.
Yeah.
I have friends, guys I went to high school with, played high school ball with, college ball with. And immediately after the meeting, man, I scheduled another meeting with him. But then I went to another organization to see if they would serve as our fiscal sponsor.
Okay.
Once I got those things together, I went to my boys and said, hey, man, would y'all be interested in doing this youth football thing? And the brothers agreed.
Yeah.
And so, we got a lot of pushback. We got people laughing at us in the community. We're 24 years old. And folks didn't believe us, man.
Yeah.
They did not believe us. And the one thing, man, when I look at today's youth football and these organizations, you know, and the things they complain about, you know, when we came into youth football, man, we weren't allowed to have a home game. We weren't allowed to participate in the postseason.
Dang.
You know,
Wow. Like, what was the reason?
Y'all was new?
You know, we were new.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. The interesting thing about it was, and we didn't know, the whole league was new. Right, and so they pretty much had to have us because they had split up.
Yeah.
Suburban teams went one way, the city teams they left the charter with Eck and Jimmy Wilson and Steve Chapman, and there was a gentleman from Wilkinsburg. They left the charter with them, and so they had to form a league. So they bring on us in West End, and I guess they felt we was just some young Thundercats and didn't.
So they was trying to
We
like haze
was,
y'all almost.
Yeah, we was young and crazy.
Yeah.
We was young and crazy.
Y'all
man.
was hungry.
Yeah,
Y'all was young and hungry.
We was young and hungry, man.
Yeah.
We was just determined to coach football. But more importantly, it was just our thing of our way of just trying to slow down what was happening in the community in between the other communities.
Right.
You know, and I was fortunate to have Tone Walls, that's my best friend in life. He was working here with the gang prevention group, along with Frank Chapman, who was working with the gang prevention group. And, you know, we just thought it would be a great thing, man, to come together and make it happen.
So speak on that time, because 9-3 was kind of crazy. It was crazy. Speak about that environment, that atmosphere, and how the neighborhoods were warring with each other, and how the impact of football helped curb that violence.
Right. So our first season was July or August of '94. Again, the fortunate thing was those brothers, Chat worked in East Hills, Tone was in Garfield. Kenny Durrett, he was working in Wilkinsburg, and there was a brother that was based here in Homewood. So basically, we would have meetings before we were going to the other neighborhoods to play.
Yeah.
And it was their job to, you know, go pull in the cats that were influential and talk to them about us being able to come in and out of each other's communities.
Yeah.
I think that's important, man, because a lot of times we forget why we do the stuff we do. And you guys was on, you know, we're gonna do something that we love to do, that we know how to do, and we're gonna also be able to curb this violence that's going on. And that was the drive.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like that is the drive with a lot of people, but with some that's not the drive. And people forget that. So this serves as a reminder to everybody why we do what we do. And if we continue to do that, we're going to continue to curb this violence.
Oh yeah.
Because it can't just be about competition athletically. It has to be about what do we do after we compete? Win, lose, or draw. Does it teach a lesson, right? Can we come together and celebrate together? Are we moving forward? Is my victory going to help you become better, right? And that's why I believe unity. This is why you and Moo sitting up here is so dope, because you got two of the top three, in my opinion, organizations, Homewood, Garfield, Wilkinsburg. Two organizations sitting up here and talking like men, right? And you know, being on the same page about why we do what we do. So if it's not going to end in unity, what are we doing it for, right?
Yeah, man. You know what was interesting about me and Moo's relationship? You know, I would hear his name, right? And he would always, the story I would get is him and Coach Mel, they always go at it, right?
Yeah. Coach, shout out Coach Bell.
Yeah, so I would never like see it, but
Yeah.
then one day there goes Moo Bard. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I've seen the brother before. And obviously on his end, he's getting stories about me.
Yeah.
So when we get to the table, he was rigid. You know, he would look at me.
Man, fact.
What's up with this
I
guy?
was cold-blooded with Coach Ball.
Yeah.
And
I heard the story.
But the big thing was, you know, I just knew he was passionate about his organization. That's what I felt.
Yeah,
you know, he's
yeah.
just passionate about his organization. And man, I would say, look, man, Mubarak needs to be more involved. He needs to be, I would tell the league folks that.
Yeah.
And I felt that, but not knowing this guy's like, man, I want to bite this dude's neck off.
Yeah.
But, I felt it. I felt his energy, but I knew he was passionate. So I didn't care about all that.
Okay.
As long as I knew he was passionate about his organization and his community, we'll be all right. Yeah. I realize he's not into nothing else but that. Yeah. So as long as that's the case, we can always, get together. And so we began to have some sincere conversations, man. And I shared stuff with him, and I asked him for advice, and I don't think he ever thought that would happen. Yeah. And those conversations, they were real, man.
And yeah, like facts, I had a wall up with Coach. And Coach kept beating down the wall, man. He kept beating down the wall, which gave me a lot of respect for you, Coach, because Homewood Garfield is super competitive. Probably the most competitive. Yes. You know what I'm saying? In any sport, any organization, you're the most competitive. Yes. But outside of the competition, we aligned with what we were trying to do for our community. Yeah. And then we seen like, man, we got the same people fighting against us. Why we fighting each other? Right. We can fight on the field. Right. You know what I'm saying? We can battle on the field. But after that field, we wanted the same thing. And Coach Bob, like I try to tell everybody around the city, like, don't believe what you hear about Coach. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to the community and the kids and the families. I like, don't believe what you hear, because like Coach don't like to boast about it, but I always say I seen him reach out to people who don't like him, help people who don't like him, always give advice, try to put people on. He done put me on to a lot of this stuff. A lot of the stuff our organization got is because Coach Bob put me on to something. So outside of all the football stuff, Coach, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I got mad respect for you, and I think that's why we kind of brought you on. We was talking because I don't think you get your credit for what you just do for communities and what you do for us black people. You know what I'm saying? So, and our whole thing with this is we try to make our community better. Right. We try to stop these kids from doing dirt and doing the stuff that leads to violence. Right? So I want to know from you, like, how did violence impact you early to make you say, I got to get involved?
Go all the way in.
Yeah. Oh, man. So in the beginning, it was about just coaching, right? And then, man, a few years in, 3-4 years in, kids that I coached, kids that I knew in the program were dying, getting killed or something, Yeah. And at that point, I was like, man, no, man, we gotta go harder, know. We gotta truly take on, the mentality that, man, as long as they're in our care, we gotta take care of them. If they get on that field, it's on us. The outcome of their lives is on us, And so, man, after, coaching the kid, you see he's a good dude, man. Then he gets to high school and he drops out of high school, and then he's in the streets, and then something happened to him, Man, those types of incidents, became, just, man, a motivating factor of just turning it up and going all in and being ultimately, committed to it all, man. When you're looking at 30, 40 boys, and me, I coached the Mighty Mites, 11 and 12-year-olds, when they're just looking at you, man, they're seeking, knowledge and information. And I'm coaching them for 2 years, and I may have knew them since they were baby twerps or twerps, and then they hit 16 and something happened to them.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And you done had 6-7 years with them?
Yeah.
Man, those things were real. And, man, once those things started happening, and not just the violence, because, just dropping out of school or not playing ball after youth football, what road they're going to go on.
Because those things lead to other things.
Exactly, right. And that's what I think sometimes is missing, that reality, the beginning stages of it.
Absolutely.
And so it's just been so important, man, to just create alternatives and other avenues for them, man, to travel so that, they won't end up, in some bad situations.
So do you feel like your influence carries over even after they're off your team?
Oh, yeah.
So, because I really believe that coaching isn't just we blow in the whistle and we calling plays. It's is basically a manual of fatherhood.
That's right.
And a lot of our boys, you know, they may have grandparents, you know, they may have their dads in their life, but you may be able to reach them a little bit more, right? The respect. So, you know, please speak on that mantle of being a coach and having that influence over these boys even after they leave you.
Oh yeah, man. I'll tell you, coaches, most of the coaches in our organization are past players. They're Gators. A lot of the guys that my son, who's now 36, his friends are Gators, you know. And so again, after that 3 to 4 year period, I realized, man, it's important that they become close. You know, that we build a community within the community. One thing that's different today, opposed to years past, is parents, fathers included, were okay with coming to us and saying, "Hey, man, I believe you can reach him better than me.
Yeah.
You know, can you talk to him?" Now, pride gets in the way. You know, too much pride's in the way, man. So not too many brothers will come and ask for that. Some sisters, they might not ask because they don't want you to know their business, or they don't want you to know the kid's struggling. You know, but we know, we see it.
There's signs.
Exactly. There's signs, man. So, you know, it's definitely more than just blowing a whistle, yelling and screaming. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that and believe it.
Right.
But I think now people are seeing it, especially, you know, there's times I've gone into school or gotten a call to go into school. And a few months ago, man, as recent as that, I went into school for some Gator kids cutting up. And I walked in the office and cats tried to take off. We went into the room for the mediation. One young brother, he said to his mom, "Why they call him?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, it's much.
And that's
more
a sign of respect.
Oh,
Like the
without a
running
doubt.
and the ducking and
man.
the trying to. They they want you to see them doing good because they know what you expect of them. And when they're not doing that, because me and Coach Mill be in the schools all the time, and when they're not doing that, they know it. They know that they feel accountable, or they feel guilty because they weren't accountable for the things that they've done. And that's a sign of respect.
Oh, without a doubt.
And this is where, you know, me and Juan get into, you know, the resources for the coaches around the city, right? Because I know, like how you said, you can walk into the school and they couldn't control these kids. You don't even say nothing. You walk in and they're in control, right? That happens with me. That happens with Juan. That happens with all of our coaches, right? So part of us bringing this show to everyone is to let the people with the resources know where the resources need to go. And cause you've been one of like the pioneers. Like I think you probably at the top of the list within the youth football. I know that you know expanded on, you know, the football program. With the stuff outside of the football, you know what I mean, the life skills, you know, the education part, the mentoring part, and all that. And like I told Juan, like game respect game. It's like I see Juan do something, I'm like, ooh, that's hard. I'm doing that. You know what I'm saying? I see Coach Bob doing something, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take a piece of Coach Bob stuff. And I hope people do that with me as well. But I think what we talking about is partnership. That's one of the solutions. Because I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna talk to give you some time to think because I want to know what you think some solutions are to curb this violence. But when me and Juan talk about solutions, we talking about partnerships. Right. You know, because Juan is his own entity, right? You see all the stuff he does with the basketball, you know what I'm saying, with the fatherhood piece. He does all this stuff in the community. Then on my end, I'm doing all this stuff in the community, and we rock with each other. He was one of my first coaches. When I got a head job, he was the first coach. I was like, yo, you trying to coach with me on the babies, on the baby tours, right? Yeah. And so me and Juan always had a relationship. So we was like, yo, let's combine so that we can be the most effective.
That's right.
Right? But when we combine, we say everything got to be 50-50. Because, you know, some people don't like, I don't like it. I don't like when my work ain't getting respected. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure he don't. I'm sure you don't. So we said, one of the solutions is the partnership, but everything got to be 50-50 on the table. The money, the control, you know, everything just got to be down the middle, because then that takes any type of feeling out of it, and it's like, let's just focus on the work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I want to ask you, you know, what do you think, and Coach, this is real talk right now. You know what I'm saying?
Real talk right now.
What do you think some of the solutions are, and, you know, break it down on, because I know you mention this all the time, because Coach Bob is heavy in like the philanthropy community, right? They kind of know your name. Like, tell me why you don't think, like, because I feel like we're solutions. I feel like coaches, tell me why you don't think enough emphasis is put on, or resources is funded to the people really doing the work. Not saying that other people ain't doing the work, but the people that we know is doing the work and got all this impact on these kids. And tell me what you think some of your solutions could be to curb this violence.
First, I'll commend you on the partnership. You know, a lot of times we don't see true collaboration. We hear collaboration and everyone talks collaboration, but it's true, man. To have a successful collaboration and partnership, you got to agree beforehand that everything's 50-50. So that's cool. I think sometimes, man, so many entities in the city have been around for a long time, right? And so there's supporters or some of the folks with the resources, they're familiar with them, right? They're familiar with the exchange, right? They're
Gatekeepers.
We can call them that. So they're familiar with the exchange, you know, they're familiar with the relationships. They're comfortable with the relationships. I've been in the position I'm in for 10 years, but I've been working in a nonprofit sector for a long time, 20 plus. And, you know, a lot of the people that were there when I started, or when I was just, you know, an employee or, you know, frontline worker, a lot of the funders and things that were around then they're not there anymore. And I think now, man, we're at a point where there are folks that's recognizing what we're doing, but I think we're the ones holding ourselves back. You know, and speaking on the captive audience that we have, the youth football community, we're just I don't know if the folks involved realize how powerful we are, right? We're moving, let's talk a weekend, right? You got 7 organizations are carrying 200 kids, right? That's 1,400 kids, right? Now let's add another 2 parents with them. Now we're moving close to 3,000 people. Let's talk about 2 siblings with them. That's another, you know, 4. So now we're up to, you know, close to $4,000, 4,000 people. So who's moving 4,000 people on a weekend? Right. I mean, the brother that just left, I mean, he has an event, and it's awesome, and it goes on for a long time. I think a weekend, and he may have 2 weekends. We're doing it for 10 to 12. That's games. That's for the game week, right? The season. But that's not counting practice. So those same 200 people those 200 kids I got at practice, you know, I got a parent or 2 at practice, you know, I got the neighbors coming around. I just think we don't realize the impact that, or let's say the influence that we have, you know, and I think if we can begin to understand the impact, if we can begin to understand and respect our influence, if we can begin to respect the people that's leading these organizations, man, I think then we can start getting the respect that we need to receive the resources that are necessary. And I know for a fact, I'm at the table now, you know, with a group, and pretty soon, in the next week, you'll hear about it. There's a lot of people that's paying attention to this. There's a lot of folks with resources that now realize, man, these 4,000 people are being moved by these groups, and it's time for us to start working with these groups, right? But people got to be willing to sacrifice time and effort to take part in capacity building efforts, organizational leadership efforts, just efforts around, you know, just being able to be at a table and take the emotion away from it and be ready to do business, right? And so there's going to be trainings coming up that's going to give people the opportunity to do that. You know, we have never had, in my lifetime that I can remember, or in my time of working in this space, we've never had millions of dollars be dropped into our neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
Around violence prevention. We can't deny the money that's come down.
Yeah.
You know, just a year ago, the mayor dropped $1 million. But on top of that, the state dropped 12 million or 13 million, right? So we have no excuse at this point. But we got to begin to look in the mirror. Very importantly, begin to hold each other accountable. And brothers got to realize, going back to your point, it's more than just blowing a whistle, man.
Yeah.
If you're going to coach, you got to realize, man, it comes with behavior, it comes with a certain level of etiquette and understanding and respect.
Yeah, there's a standard, right?
There's a standard, man. And, you know, if we can get to that standard and speak on it, then I think we'll be all right. And one thing, Moo, you mention all the time is brothers respecting elders, right? We've gone away from that. You know, and that, me being an elder now, because I came in when I was 23.
Yeah.
So can you imagine, man, you know, sitting at the table with Eck and Mr. Hawkins and Jimmy Wilson. You know, I'm sitting in front of these dudes. And I remember when I wanted to play football, I wasn't old enough. My sisters were cheerleaders out here in Homewood. Man, I remember going on the field, Eck kicking me off the field, you know. And now I'm sitting at the table with the guy.
Yeah.
Like the heck with whoever he ended up being or however things happen, man, that was Coach Eck to me.
Right.
You know, so I'm at the table with him. So now brothers come to the table with these preconceived notions and this level of disrespect and not wanting to honor, you know, what's been accomplished already.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we lose everything that needs to happen to bring the partnership, collaboration, and the efforts together so that we can reach the level and the standard that we need to be at so that we can gain and receive the resources.
Bob dropping some heavy jewels right here, Coach.
Eat, sleep, and drink this.
And
man.
let
I
me
love
say
it.
this
It's in my
because
soul.
y'all dudes are super powerful in the community. And I say that
Somewhat.
because it's a fact. It's a fact because when people talk about Garfield, they talk about you. When people talk about Homewood, they talk about you. And the fact is, I know y'all. I see what you're doing. I see how we went from just playing football to building out an organization to encompass enrichment, to encompass empowerment, right? You don't have to go to the schools, right? But you do. Right, so you're creating a standard that goes beyond the field, and for me, I feel like youth sports is the perfect base to double and triple what you guys already do, what we already do. Me and Moo do a piece called the MAP program, Mentoring Through Athletics and Public Service, and so with the sports that Homewood offers. There are mentoring components, just like with B.A.S.E, right? There are public service opportunities, and that's just giving back. I learned those things through, you know, my stepmom growing up, just going feeding the homeless and things like that. And me now realizing, like, man, there's people really out here down bad, right? And so that's the enrichment part, right? And the empowerment part is, you know, seeing guys come back to the organization. They're educated. They've been where they've been, but they came back because they see the value in what we're doing. And those millions of dollars that are out there for us, you know, my thing is, I think really truly, man, that we should be paid for what we do, not because of what we do, because of the impact it's making. And because it is a full-time job with the full-time job that we already got. You know what I mean? It makes a difference because you can influence, and you can influence more than most. And that's what it's about. It's about, can we influence in the right way? And when you got kids ducking and dodging you because they respect your standard and they know that they're not living up to that, there has to be a give there, to me. Right? We're not doing it for the money. I'm not saying that at all. But the impact, what we can do, what we can bring to the city, like, it's undeniable.
Yeah, and to touch on his point when he said we're not doing it for his money, that's just a way they try to shut us up, man. Because they try to make it like, oh, see, they just doing it for the money. But you can't say that about people who got decades, right? Decades of work that they've been doing for free. And it's like we were kind of naive because we were just straight going with our heart. We was on, man, we doing it out of love, and we gonna continue doing it out of love.
Yeah.
But when you doing it out of love, right, and then you in the same community where you seeing this organization and their staff getting paid this amount of money, but they need you to get these kids and all this other things
to get their numbers.
It makes you think, like, to your point, Coach, like, yeah, we got a lot of work we gotta do as coaches and just how we deal with each other, but I still feel like in this current date, the resources can be going to these brothers and sisters, because I think they will help, because a lot of our brothers and sisters are dealing with a lot of stuff outside of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
They dealing with unemployment. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They dealing
poverty,
with
bro.
They dealing with homelessness, alcoholism, trauma.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Where these resources can kind of help, and we can do it at the same time. We can feed the resources and help build the other stuff at the same time.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because what you spoke on, where I say, you know, dudes don't be respecting the elders. Like, I be getting hot, Coach. Like, because you are an elder in the league, and sometimes the stuff is unwarranted, like how people who don't know you speak about it. And I've been there, because I've been one of the ones who didn't know you, right? And I only went off of what I heard.
Yeah.
Oh, he's only about Garfield. Oh, he's only about this, only about that. But you showed me in your actions with helping me with Homewood, like, you know, like, I speak on it within my organization. I said, Coach Bob put me on to this grant. Or Coach Bob brought me into this meeting. Now we able to do this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? Coach Bob shared ideas with me, and I was able to do this. So my respect for you is high. And I think a lot of brothers, I tell them, even with Telly, even with your best friend, I tell him, I said, man, y'all dudes both got good hearts. You know what I'm saying? Once we get past the football, like, y'all are going to see that y'all are more alike and more on the same page than anything, because y'all dudes got good hearts. And that's where the work got to come in, Coach. That's where these coaches that's rough around the edges, we got to kind of get them to understand, like, on the field, it's like how we toast the kid. On the field, you a demon. Ain't no love on the field. But as soon as that whistle blow while you on the field, all right, you back to regular. But then when the snap will go, you turn to a demon again. They got to be able to transition, and we as coaches have to be able to transition from a field competitors against each other, you know what I'm saying, to off the field.
Because the goals are the same.
We link our arms.
And it worked out.
So, real quick, since we're about to cut, why don't you tell us what you got going on with your organization? What's the latest? What can people be looking out for, and how can they get in contact you if they wanted to be a part?
Oh, man. I mentioned early on, we're coming up on our 30th season. We're looking to have a gala. I'm working with a planner on that. I'm hoping, you know, folks come out and support it, you know, especially our past players and supporters. Football season's right around the corner. You know, February is when I get started on the business of it. So, you know, hopefully folks can recognize that and support it. We have our our awards banquet coming up March 9th. We have that annually. We always believed, man, and we learned from Eck, you always got to have an award ceremony afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, that was something he told us. I don't know if it always happened here, but it's something he told us, man. So we got that coming up. From the B.A.S.E standpoint, man, we're just grinding, man. After school programming, you know, every day, Monday through Friday. We're going to keep that pushing. You know, we have a summer camp. We have our male mentoring that we do. You know, Gator Way mentoring that we have happening every Monday night. So those are just, you know, some of the things, man.
You're doing some great stuff, Bob,
Yes,
man.
sir,
We
Coach.
appreciate you for coming, man.
Coach Bob is a solution.
Yeah, he
He's
is a solution, man. So like I said, when you came in here, we wanted to put the face to the name, and then the background to it as well. So we applaud you for what you're doing. I
Yes,
know
sir.
you don't look for the applause, but we're gonna give you the applause because you're doing some great work. You and the guys up in Garfield, and we look forward to seeing what comes out of Garfield and Homewood this summer. Hopefully we see these guys in the championship. Coach Boo, Coach Bob,
I'm
back
traumatized
at
about football right now. When we talk about Garfield,
it's love. It's love right now.
It's love.
But when it comes down to football, that's something else.
I'll get over it in a couple more months.
But this is I Am a Solution. I'm your host, Coach Warren.
I'm the host, Coach Moo, man.
Yeah, and we out. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
Yo, Amos, I appreciate you for letting us go over about 10 minutes.
We went over 10?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like 14.
Right. I see. I was trying to look back.
No. That's on me because
Yep.
So real quick, because we get short on time, speak on the power of unity and how your organization has facilitated a lot of that in Garfield.
In Garfield, we didn't have anything. As a community, man, we've always survived with next to nothing. Unfortunately, we've been able to create
out the mud.
We've been able to be creative, and so, in the community itself, we were forced to come together, be together. We all went to school together. It's sort of the same, man. Homewood's a lot bigger than Garfield, but we watched Homewood. Some of us have family here, or came out here to the Y, to parties and to the skating rink. So, we were familiar with how, Homewood was and its culture, and so the fact that we didn't have much, man, and then the brothers that started the program out with me, we were all friends, man. Me, Tone, Garf, Chat, Chris, Duke, Ray, we were all buddies, man. We all came up together. We all had different connections. One of the things, man, that I wish I can, or get some of these youngsters to understand is, some of them, they don't understand how the old hustling dude can have so much respect for guys like me. Mm-hmm. They don't realize, man, those cats, we went to school with them. We grew up with them. So there was always that mutual respect, So, some young guys were like, damn, how you know him? Well, I went to school with him.
Yeah.
Played sports with him. Probably beat him up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, that's how I know him. Yeah. So while you were admiring him and his gold and cars and all that, man, I didn't admire that. I was probably telling him, come on, man, it's time to leave that alone. Yeah. And now, life has come full circle for a lot of brothers. So now they're seeking, insight and direction and information, or they're so happy with the fact that they no longer got to look over their shoulders anymore, so now they want to come be around the brothers that's always been, straight and doing the right things or trying to do the right things. Yeah. And so, it's just, man, we've always had a core group of dudes that were able to move the cultural needle in the community, man, and folks just follow behind us, and it worked out.
So, real quick, since we're about to cut, why don't you tell us what you got going on with your organization? What's the latest? What can people be looking out for, and how can they get in contact you if they wanted to be a part?
Oh, man. I mentioned early on, we're coming up on our 30th season. We're looking to have a gala. I'm working with a planner on that. I'm hoping, folks come out and support it, especially our past players and supporters. Football season's right around the corner. February is when I get started on the business of it. So, hopefully folks can recognize that and support it. We have our our awards banquet coming up March 9th. We have that annually. We always believed, man, and we learned from Eck, you always got to have an award ceremony afterwards.
Yeah.
That was something he told us. I don't know if it always happened here, but it's something he told us, man. So we got that coming up. From the B.A.S.E standpoint, man, we're just grinding, man. After school programming, every day, Monday through Friday. We're going to keep that pushing. We have summer camp. We have our male mentoring that we do. Gator Way mentoring that we have happening every Monday night. So those are just, some of the things, man.
You're doing some great stuff, Bob,
Yes,
man.
sir,
We
Coach.
appreciate you for coming, man.
Coach Bob is a solution.
Yeah, he
He's
is a solution, man. So like I said, when you came in here, we wanted to put the face to the name and then the background to it as well. So we applaud you for what you're doing. I
Yes,
know
sir.
you don't look for the applause, but we're gonna give you the applause because you're doing some great work. You and the guys up in Garfield, and we look forward to seeing what comes out of Garfield and Homewood this summer. Hopefully we see these guys in the championship. Coach Boo, Coach Bob,
I'm
back
traumatized
at
by football right now. When we talk about Garfield,
But no, it's love. It's love right now.
It's love.
But when it comes down to football, that's something else.
I'll get over it in a couple more months.
But yo, this is I Am a Solution. I'm your host, Coach Warren.
I'm the host, Coach Moo, man.
Yeah, and we out. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.